11 p.m. on the 16th of December 2024, Blackout Germany. It's nice for me to be able to make a video for once before turning in for the night about a video which I'm going to post a link here under. It's called Blackout Germany and it's on my old familiar theme of this carry on with renewable energy. Now, there's no doubt, having locked horns with these green enthusiasts for over 30 years, I can definitely say that there is a very close parallel or comparison between those who want to run the grid on renewable energy, wind and solar mainly, hydrogen, storage, all that stuff, and those who want Marxism, communism. And they have always said that Ireland should have far more people, 3 to 4 to 5 times its present population. We see the war on the motor car. We see the war on private parking, car parking, street parking, every excuse like the COVID-19 to remove the parking and give it to private businesses to keep cars out at all cost. We know that our economy requires lorries, and yet there's nowhere to park the lorries. People have to park them in housing estates. Yet the transport of goods is essential for everything from health to food to everything else. Now, what the video shows is how the likely energy transition in Germany, called Energy Windy, is likely to pan out. And what I've been saying is none of this can work. It's based on a fraud. It's based on pushing engineers out and wishful thinkers in. I knew several people throughout my life who told me, "Well, you got to think positive. You're too negative. You've got to think positive." I knew one lady down the south of Ireland who was on her third husband. All failed, and she was about to start up with her fourth. I don't know how that went, and used to tell me about positive thinking. She never created anything. A few businesses she started failed, and moreover, there was a family money that her and her siblings were due, and the whole thing was taken away and siphoned off, gone to somebody else, right under their noses, and rang me about it. What could they do? The money was gone. Surely you could tell the Gardaí or the police or whatever. That's all right. So this think positive didn't work very much for her. And I'm neither a think positive person nor a think negative person. I'm a think pragmatic person. But right throughout the video you see this thing. We'll make renewables work. Now, certainly, if my tractor tank develops a leak in the middle of the silage, I'll fix up a temporary tank with the 2 return pipes in it on the bonnet, and I have that done at the moment while I do repairs to the tractor in the off season. But I still have to go back to the proper tank when the time comes for it, or buy a new tank or whatever. So it's the same with this. When you prove to them they can't go down the renewable route, they come up with hydrogen, thorium, battery storage. They even go as far as to say they can store the electricity needed to run our homes in the batteries of their cars. Now, it stands to reason to me that if you plug in your electric car to be able to drive up the road, and the electric grid can take the power out of the car instead of putting it in, when you go to drive up the road, you'll get nowhere because you'll have no electricity. That doesn't matter. And the bottom line in all this is not to do with making any of this work. This is to do with the impoverishment of the population. This is a form of Marxism where the state is what counts, not what the individual wants. And if every one of us end up pushing bicycles up the road to go to the shop, that's all right with them. We had an election in Ireland in which, among other things, I was well known for my opposition to this. And generally, while voters did give some support, they didn't give enough to change it. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin are wedded and fully welded to this policy. And Great Britain is fully welded to it as well. But this video is about Germany, and it's nearly spot on. It's not much different to what I would make. But I would say to you, ask another question. What they're saying is, we can go over to renewables, we can transition, but it's going to cost money. And where is the money going to come from? Well, assuming it's neither borrowed nor printed, which is unsustainable, it has to be earned. How is money earned in the present economy? It's earned by having a transport service to deliver stuff round and have your transport company running on diesel. If you're a farmer, how do you earn money? You run your farm, your cattle, your sheep, whatever. You use your fuel. It's run on diesel and petrol, mostly diesel. People go all over the country in Ireland every day to feed cattle on all kinds of farms, outlying farms, using fuel. If the care assistant going around looking after old people wants to earn a bit more, she can widen the scope of her round and needs fuel for it. She cannot do it by public transport. Care assistants cannot go around and attend to people without having the basics in the trunk of the car. And so all of this is one massive scam. But this video now will help, provided you remember that question. Right through the video, ask yourself the question, if this renewable energy transition is going to cost money, where is the money going to come from? And it's a circle. It comes from the very thing that they're trying to stop using: coal, oil and gas. Germany is already on its knees. Europe has gone down this road, and until they're eating out of bins, they'll probably not change. There are two parties in Germany in the next election that might change it. The German government has collapsed, so it hasn't brought any happiness there. A vote of no confidence in Herr Schulz was lost and he's out. The French government is in dire straits as well. None of this has worked for them. The British economy is not well, not good, and there's talk of Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, cancelling the local authority elections next May because he knows his party will lose. So you see, right through all of this is the taking away or the diminution of our civic rights. You see that. So I commend the video to you. It's 40 minutes long, and I think it's the best one I have seen so far. Meanwhile, the Chinese ignore the whole lot. The Russians plough into Ukraine and take it over. Not only can they not fight a war in Ukraine, they don't have the guns, the ammunition, the artillery or the tanks or anything to supply an army. They've been fighting climate change for so long, they never developed any industry and have no hope now of developing industry anywhere in Europe. And America has elected Donald Trump, who says the whole thing is a load of baloney, and in my opinion he's right. So now America's going to suck the whole lifeblood out of Europe. Brendan Smith in the local election did admit that's the case, but that means nothing because Irish, French, German voters and British voters are welded to the old parties, and the old parties can push this. So what's coming down the road is a big divide between the United States and Europe. Russia's going to thrive, China's going to thrive, India and Africa and all of these countries are going to plough on using fossil fuel while Europe tries to run their economy from the wind. The chemical industry is pulling out and is collapsing. The car industry is collapsing. Volkswagen is closing 3 plants. I mean, the writing is on the wall. I always said, you cannot do this. This is not physically possible. You cannot take the engineers out of your economy and replace them with happy thinkers, with positive thinkers, do-gooders, and Trotskyites, communists, Marxists, and everything else. We had Marxism in Cuba, And its economy is collapsing and its lights are going out as well. They showed no ability to provide a proper electrical system. You've had Marxism in Zimbabwe, you had it in the Soviet Union, and you have it in North Korea. And that is ultimately what the Greens crave for us. In the last election, they lost 11 of the 12 TDs or politicians in Ireland. One, sadly, was returned to the Parliament. 11 out of the 12 were lost. And that shows you that there is a strange type of voter in Ireland that can spot the excesses of the Greens. The only thing is they didn't vote for a good Conservative replacement. They put in Labour and other do-gooders who are no different, who are people before profit, and all of these all believe they can run the economy on the wind and the sun on a night like tonight when it's more or less calm and it's dark outside. They're incapable of looking out the window and seeing that there's no sun. And the next thing they'll be telling us, and there is tonight a moon. We might be able to use the energy from the moon. I mean, these people have no bounds in their imagination, absolutely no bounds in their imagination. Our world was built on fossil fuel and a bit of nuclear fuel, and it's unlikely in any time in the next 30 years will they come up with any alternative to fossil fuel. Look at the video. It's well worth looking at, and we'll see you back. And I noticed too, I had no ads on that video. I noticed there were no advertisements on it. That's a very strange thing. It's done by DW Deutsche. That's Deutschland is Germany. And it's done by DW, and I would submit to you that it's fairly well done and well entertaining and well worth looking at. Thank you very much. And do comment underneath here and then give it a look. And if you're commenting, then say, I viewed it, and give your opinion. And just see how we can be going over the cliff and do nothing about it. And this was the exact same position in the lead up to the Second World War. 37% of the people of Germany voted for Hitler's Nazis. But there was 63% that had doubts about him, and there was a good deal of them that knew well he'd bring absolute death and destruction and hardship on an unimaginable scale to his own people and the people of neighbouring countries. Even American soldiers died fighting him. American soldiers and British soldiers had to go on boats across to face the machine guns on D-Day. So that'll tell you, you can be looking into it and there's nothing you can do. And I'm rapidly coming to the view after the elections here that we really have to accept there's nothing we can do. But what we can do is we can look on from the sidelines and see it happening and take an interest in it as it happens. And it's as good as watching a film, because this is real drama playing out. It's now looking like the Germans will be eating out of dustbins. They're buying diesel generators and petrol generators because they know the lights are going to go out. And the Greens don't give two tuppenny damns whether they go out or not. They're going to stick hard, and it all depends on whether there are enough German voters to turf them out and put something, not a neutral party in, but something stronger in. And in America, the people did that. They elected Donald Trump by a huge majority, and he's going to wipe this out in America. But that doesn't mean we're home and dry. In Europe, I don't believe we are. It's too bad. It's sad for our children and grandchildren, but at least if we know about it, and from the like of this video you know about it, then we can understand what's taking place. Comment underneath. Do look at the video. We'll see you back soon. Thank you.